welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to this year's limited edition Holo Taco royalty release, the Disco Cowboy Collection. If you've seen the videos that I've made about the other Holo Taco collections this year, then you know what we're doing here. I'm not someone who gets PR from brands, and I don't typically buy full collections. I just pick up my favorites when I can, and that means I can't always do a swatch and review like other creators, but I still want to be able to talk about new releases. So I like to go through each of the polishes, discuss how I feel about them, and if I like them enough to get them. I'll also talk about the collection as a whole, and this time I want to focus on the process of creating the collection, because Holo royalty collections are different from most other releases. So let's get into it. Holo Taco is a boutique nail polish brand based in the US and founded by Christine from the Simply Nailogical YouTube channel. The Disco Cowboy Collection launched April 26th and includes 5 specialty finish polishes that were voted on by Holo Royalty, the top tier of Holo Taco's customer loyalty program. I am part of Holo Royalty, by the way. I don't really know what to say about the theme, so I'll just start talking about the polishes, and I'll get to my thoughts about the collection as a whole a little later. So like I mentioned, this collection was voted on by Holo Royalty, and for the first polish we chose between 2 shimmers, one with a purple jelly base and one with a kind of brownish mauve jelly base, and they both had cyan shimmer and scattered holo. Not surprisingly, people chose the purple, which became Moonlit Rodeo. I think this is the one that I voted for, but I wasn't that excited for it. I just liked it better than the other option. I've said this before and I'll say it again, colors in the teal, cyan, aqua, turquoise family just don't tend to be my favorite. Not that I don't have any polishes in those colors, but there usually has to be something special about the formula for me to be interested. That being said, now that I've seen more of this polish, I do like it better than I thought I would. The dark purple base is nice, and that shimmer is reading a little closer to a true blue in some lighting, which I prefer. So it is pretty, but I still don't like it enough to get it, especially because it's close enough to a polish that I already have. A few weeks ago, I ordered some mystery prototypes from Lurid Lacquer, and one of them had a purple base with blue shimmer. It's not really that similar to the Holo Taco since the shades of blue and purple are different, and the Lurid has reflective glitter instead of scattered holo, but I still don't feel like I need another purple base with blue shimmer, or at least not this one. Next, we had the choice between a couple of orange metallic polishes. One prototype was a frosted metal with metallic flakes and an orange base, along with some gold holo, and the other was more of a smooth shimmer. I'm also not too surprised about the result for this one. The frosted metal won the vote and became Disco Inferno. Frosted metals don't always sell super well because they're hard to photograph, and also they tend to change color over time, but they are fairly popular among people who have actually tried them, so it makes sense to me that we went with a frosted metal, which is an established formula for Holo Taco, over another finish that's a bit more of an unknown. I think I personally voted for the smooth metallic, but I didn't care that much because I knew I probably wouldn't actually buy either of them, since I'm not the biggest fan of orange. I have come around to it a bit more since voting. I have Poems for a Harvest Moon from Mooncat, and I think it's really pretty, but I kind of prefer summer oranges, like ones that feel a bit more tropical and pair well with pink. Like, I think I enjoy the orange-pink color combo more than orange itself. So since Disco Inferno feels like a bit more of a fall orange to me, I'm gonna pass. I'm not that into orange, and I don't have strong feelings about frosted metals, so it's just not calling to me. Next we have some more purple. Holo Royalty chose between a couple of lilac shades. One was a smooth metallic with a subtle duochrome effect and scattered holo, I think potentially similar to the polish Overshadowed, which is kind of a blue metallic duochrome, and the other was a basic crushed holo, meaning it has tiny holographic flakes and kind of a jelly base. That's the one we chose, and it became Sparkling Spurs. Like with frosted metals, the crushed holo formula is a lot more established than the metallic finishes, so I'm not too surprised that the crushed holo won the vote. I did vote for this one, and I was initially thinking that it might be one I pick up, but at this point I'm not really interested. I like crushed holos, but I don't love this shade of pinky purple, and I already have what I would consider the more fun version of this polish. That would be Holo Taco's Crystal Mommy, which is a darker purple crushed holo with pink shimmer and some added scattered holo. I really love that polish, even though it was one of the less popular shades from the Birthstone collection. So now I'm like, if I have Crystal Mommy, why would I want a polish that doesn't have shimmer and is a shade of purple that I like less? I just don't think that I would reach for Sparkling Spurs, so I'll be skipping it. Next is more crushed holo. The 2 options had the same turquoise base, but one didn't have any added shimmer and one had a pink-purple shimmer. Royalty went with the shimmer option, Cowboy Tears. I wasn't really sure which way the vote would go. I like crushed holo with shimmer, but I know not everyone does. Some people think that the holo is stronger without shimmer, so they prefer the more simple version, but I guess enough people like the shimmer that that's what won. I voted for this one, and I want to like it, but again, it's just not my favorite color. I prefer the bluer versions of a crushed holo with shimmer that I already have, like Spyglass from last year's royalty collection, or Blue Rizzler from the Rock Candy collection. This one is just in that somewhere between blue and green range that I don't really like, and the finish isn't enough to make up for that. Not a whole lot else to say. I can recognize that it's pretty, but I don't think that I would enjoy having it on my nails, so I'm skipping it. And last is a polish that we didn't actually vote on. Something similar happened last year. Holo Royalty voted on 3 polishes, and then there was a surprise 4th that had been a prototype the previous year. So this year we knew about 4 polishes, and then a 5th was thrown in. We'll see if the pattern continues next year, I guess. The surprise polish is called Bless Your Heart, and it's a pink holographic glitter, kind of Holo Taco's standard chunky glitter formula. It has a berry-leaning pink jelly base and various sizes of glitter from tiny to medium. Some are pink holographic and some are silver holographic. I was kind of confused when I saw this one because I didn't know what the origin was. It's not a former prototype, and I didn't think that it looked like any of the colors in the mood boards, but apparently it's supposed to be an interpretation of the color between purple and orange in the second mood board, even though to me that seems more purple or mauve than pink. Honestly, I think Christine just wanted to give us a bright pink holo glitter since there's been some demand for that, which I don't mind. This is definitely the polish from the collection that interests me the most. I like glitter polish, but Holo Taco doesn't do a lot of it lately because it doesn't sell super well. People don't like that it's harder to remove, and a lot of the glitters they've done in the past were limited edition, or they retired before I realized that I liked glitter. There's a holiday collection that I definitely regret not buying when I had the chance, so now whenever they release a glitter, I make sure to consider it. And I like the color on this one a lot. I do have a few hot pinks, but not a glitter like this, so it would be unique to my collection in that way. So I did pick it up with my loyalty sale order. If it weren't limited edition, I might have waited or considered a bit more if I really need it, but I know that I'm going to enjoy it, even if it's not the most unique to my collection because of the color, so I feel alright about getting it. Okay, so those are all of the polishes, and now I want to talk some about the collection as a whole, because especially as someone who is in Holo Royalty, I have some thoughts about the theme and the color palette and the finishes and how those things were decided, but before I get into that too much, I just want to say these are just my opinions. There are some things about this collection that I don't necessarily like or that I think could be better, but that doesn't mean that I think it's bad or that no one should enjoy it. If you love this collection, then that's great and I'm happy for you. And obviously I still like Holo Taco in general. I wouldn't be in the top tier of their loyalty program otherwise, but they could still use some constructive feedback sometimes. Also, I'm really not taking this that seriously, even if it seems like I am. I just think it's fun to share my opinion and overanalyze things. My English major traits have to be directed somewhere now that I'm not in school anymore. But I don't mind if you disagree or if you share a different opinion in the comments. Just keep it respectful and we're good. So let's talk about the theme first because I don't have as much to say about it. It's Disco Cowboy, which doesn't really evoke anything for me beyond Chapel Roan's Pink Pony Club outfits. I don't have as much of a point of reference for this as I did for something like Cottagecore, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time saying if the polishes fit the theme or anything like that. Really, my main thought is just, why? Where did this theme come from? Because this is the 3rd royalty collection, and the theme of the first was just Holo Royalty. It was the debut collection, so the focus was just on the fact that this is a thing that happens now. And last year's collection was kind of mystery themed. It was called Shimmering Secrets and was a nod to the Holo Taco detectives, basically people who are really committed to figuring out what upcoming releases are going to be. They take screenshots of Christine's hands in her live streams and Snapchat stories, and they're always looking for clues. Very this energy. So that made sense as a theme because there's a lot of overlap between detectives and people in Holo Royalty. But I just don't know why the Disco Cowboy theme was chosen for this release or how it really fits in with royalty. It's not like we were given different themes to choose from. This is just the direction that things were headed from the beginning. And if Holo Taco did it for another collection, I wouldn't think twice. Different collections have different themes, like Vacation or Dark Academia. So if they announced a Disco Cowboy collection any other time, I'd be like, sure, why not? But I just kind of feel like for a royalty collection that it should be connected in some way. It should be a theme that only makes sense to do for royalty, not just something that you could do any other time. Or alternatively, Holo Royalty could vote on the theme and have a say in whether it's Disco Cowboy or Punk Fairy or Bluegrass Mermaid. Does that make sense? I haven't necessarily heard other people talking about this, but I personally was surprised when I found out the theme of this collection. It's fun, but I just don't think it fits that well. And the other main thing that I want to talk about is the color palette, because I don't think it's very cohesive. I think 3 of the polishes work really well together, the 3 that involve purple and or teal, cyan, turquoise, whatever you want to call it. But because those ones are so cohesive, throwing in the orange and the pink feels like you're trying to combine 2 different palettes, which is basically what's happening. So I'm going to explain how we ended up with this mix of colors, and to do that, I'm going to go back a couple years and talk about how the royalty collections are created. Holo Taco started their customer loyalty program in I think July 2022, so around their 3rd anniversary, and it's similar to what a lot of other brands do. When you make a purchase or sign up to the email list or write a review or follow them on social media, you get points that you can redeem for products. And there are different tiers based on how many points you've earned, and each tier has different additional perks. Like with Holo Taco, one of the perks is a free birthday polish, but you get more options for it when you're in a higher tier. And when you're in the highest tier, Holo Royalty, you also get kind of a unique perk, which is input into the yearly Holo Royalty collection. And that happens through surveys that go out in a couple of phases, a few months ahead of the collection being released, but the process has changed a bit over the years. I didn't start shopping Holo Taco until September 2023, and I didn't become Holo Royalty until a few months after that, so I haven't been part of the process the whole time, but I can share what I know based on how it's been explained in live streams, and then eventually we'll get to my first-hand experience. So the first Holo Royalty release was planned for April 2023, and it was originally just going to be 1 polish, and because of that, the first survey was focused on figuring out the most popular color and finish. The result was that people like purple, and also pink, and kind of green, and people were interested in linear holos and holographic glitters and frosted metals. So then Holo Taco took that information and made some prototypes, which they had people vote on in the second survey. There were 6 prototypes, and the most popular ended up being a purple frosted metal. So if they had stuck with just doing 1 polish, then that's what it would have been, but they ended up including a couple of the other prototypes as well. One was a light purple holo glitter with green shimmer, and one was a pale pink linear holo with pink shimmer. So even though the collection didn't start with mood boards or a certain color palette in mind, I feel like it ended up being very cohesive, with kind of a gradient from purple to pink, because it was really leaning into the most popular colors to give people what they wanted. I don't have any of those polishes since I wasn't buying Holo Taco when they first came out, and they were a limited edition, but I think it's a nice collection. I would definitely get the glitter if it was available now, though I'm not as enthusiastic about the other 2, but overall it was a good royalty debut. Now the second year they approached things a little differently. I wasn't in the royalty tier yet when the first survey went out, but instead of just asking people about individual colors, they started with mood boards. So sets of 4 colors with some sort of mystery themed saying to go with them. I'm just working with a screenshot from a live stream, so I can't read them all because the image quality is pretty bad, but you can see the colors. And apparently there were 2 that kind of tied for the top spot, which were the very pastel pink and blue one, Keeping Secrets is Sweet, and the one with darker teal and purple, Illicit Evidence. I'm kind of surprised that the bottom right one wasn't higher up there with a kind of indigo color and aqua and pink, but that's beside the point. The Holo Taco team was left with 2 equally popular mood boards, and so they basically decided to smash them together and use some colors from each. So when it got to the prototype survey, which was my first royalty survey, it worked about the same as the previous year. There was a choice between 2 light blues, between 2 light pinks, and between 2 teals, and we chose a crushed holo with shimmer, a micro glitter, and a metallic flake respectively. Then for the final collection, they threw in a 4th polish that hadn't been voted on in that prototype survey. It was actually a purple glitter prototype from the previous year that hadn't been used, but it did fit in with the Illicit Evidence mood board. And I think that overall approach made a lot of sense because those 2 mood boards worked really well together. Each one on its own really only has a couple of colors, so together they provide a little bit more variety, and they also balance each other out really well. We got a couple lighter colors and a couple more vibrant ones. There's a couple in the pink-purple range, a couple in the teal-blue range, so it works really well. I actually bought this full collection one of the few times that I've done that. I really love Spyglass, the blue, and Inside Job, the purple, and I know that I say I don't usually like teals, but I like the metallic microflake finish of Teal No Lies, and it has a really nice formula, and I honestly mostly got blush money to complete the set on my first royalty collection, but it's nice too. I'm actually wearing it right now. Lighter pinks aren't really my favorite, but I like the micro glitter, and I've also experimented with layering it, so it's been fun. Overall, a good collection with a color story that I think works really well. So what happened this year? Where did things go wrong? The process was very similar to the previous year. We started with the mood board survey, which this time included some images that evoke the Disco Cowboy theme. My personal favorite was the second one. You know I love a green-pink combo, and the blue balances it out nicely. But as soon as I saw all the mood boards, I was like, There are two with purple, and I kind of feel like those are going to be the most popular since people historically vote for purple. And sure enough, when we got to the prototype survey, it was a combination of those two mood boards with some light purple / mauve and turquoise from one, and a purple and orange from the other. So basically the same thing that happened last year, but I just don't feel like using the same approach again was really a good idea, because even though they had a color in common, these two mood boards just don't mesh as well as the ones from the previous year. Of course, this is subjective, and based on my preferences, I can't prove that one palette is better than the other, but this combo of teal and purple and orange just doesn't work that well for me. At least not these versions of those colors. And then you throw in the pink, which is kind of like one of the colors from the second mood board, but not really, and it all just feels kind of messy. I don't think this is a bad collection. The polishes individually are still nice, but it could have been better in terms of cohesiveness. So I want to talk a little bit about how it could be better next time, and how to have some more color diversity in a way that works, since we're seeing a lot of the same colors each year. It's just kind of known at this point that Holo royalty is going to vote for purple if given the opportunity, and teal has emerged as another favorite color. So how do you work with that and not have the same collection every time? I think that there are two main options that could be implemented at the mood board stage, and one is to not include any purple and teal in the mood boards, or at least a minimal amount like the first year, which had one true purple and a couple of indigos. Just say, okay, we've done that. What other color palettes do you like? And that way they could force a little more variety and cater to the people who like the less popular colors. But I actually don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to do purple and teal every year, as long as you include some other colors too. The royalty collection is about giving customers what they want, and they seem to want purple. So the other option is to put purple and or teal in a lot of the mood boards, combined with other colors in various ways. That way, the survey isn't just having people find the purple and teal, it's asking, do you want dark purple and teal with some burgundy and navy blue and emerald green? Do you want the obnoxiously bright versions paired with some pink and yellow and orange? Do you want pastels? Do you want muted colors? Do you want warmer tones? Do you want cooler tones? So then, instead of people just voting for the two mood boards with purple without necessarily caring what it's paired with, you can actually see what they prefer for a color story when they have a lot of options that potentially fit with their color preferences. And for people who don't like purple and teal, they can actually feel like they have more of a chance to influence the vote. Because if you're a green lover, for example, and these are the options, you kind of know that 2 and 7 don't have much of a chance to win out over the purple. But if you're a green lover and these are the options, you could actually have some hope that one of the ones with green would get chosen. So doing a lot of mood boards with purple and teal would actually be a way to bring in some other colors in a way that feels more natural. Because this year, with the way that the color palettes were combined, to me it feels like the orange doesn't fit in very well, and it was just included because they were like, well, I guess we should do one polish for the people who are in the minority with their color preferences. While if there was more intentionality with bringing in those less popular colors from the start, then something like an orange or a green or a yellow might actually feel like it fits. Really, I think that orange worked well in mood board DC05, with that kind of pinky mauve color acting as a bridge between the orange and the purple. It's just when it was combined with the other mood board that orange started to feel like the odd one out, at least in my opinion. And it would just be nice if all the polishes felt like they fit. Now, pivoting to a related but different topic, I think that if we're going to keep seeing some of the same colors, whether or not they're paired with new ones, another way to make things generally less repetitive would be to do more with interesting or complex finishes. It's not that they've done the same finishes every year, there has been some repetition, but also some variety. It's more that the first Holo royalty collections did a lot with combined finish polishes and polishes that were unique to the Holo Taco catalog. There were various holographic polishes with added shimmer, and things like Teal No Lies and Blush Money that were versions of a metallic flake and a glitter that Holo Taco hadn't done before. But the finishes this time around are all pretty familiar. There's a shimmer and acrylic base, which we saw a full collection of in November. There's a frosted metal with scattered holo, which is an established formula. There's a plain crushed holo and a crushed holo with shimmer. and we have several of those at this point. And then there's a classic Holo glitter. Nothing really new. I will say part of the mood board survey asks if you prefer classic formulas or classics with a twist, or totally new formulas or pigment combos. So maybe people are saying that they prefer the classics. I don't know, but I feel like being a bit more creative with the finishes would really help things not get repetitive, especially if we're going to keep seeing a lot of the same colors. They could distract from the fact that they're doing another purple by throwing in a metallic flake and an iridescent shimmer and some reflective glitter. Or if people don't want kitchen sink polishes, they could do something more simple, like a teal linear holo with contrasting shimmer. Nothing too crazy, but at least a little different than what we've seen before. And beyond just wanting variety, this is a limited edition collection, which of course has some downsides. There's a shorter window of time to buy, and if you're not able to purchase during that window for whatever reason, you miss out. But part of the value proposition of limited edition collections, why it's worth doing them sometimes, according to Christine, is that they let Holo Taco use more complex finishes and unique pigments, because then they don't have to worry if they're going to consistently be able to get all of the pigments needed for a complex formula, or consistently get enough of a harder defined pigment, because there aren't any restocks. They just need to get enough of the ingredients for one big batch, and that's it. That's why they were able to go all out with the Birthstone collection, and why it was such a big deal that they were able to restock it when it sold out faster than expected. Those polishes had a lot going on, so I understand not wanting to have to deal with keeping them in stock all the time, and I'm fine with them being limited edition because that's the only way we would have gotten that collection. But if the limited edition polishes look the same as permanent polishes, then it's just like, well, why do they have to be limited? This royalty collection doesn't feel like it has more going on than, say, the vacation collection or I Need Space, so why are those permanent and this isn't? Of course, there are other reasons for a collection to be limited. It kind of feels right for certain moments like royalty to make them seem more special, but I want the downsides that come from a shorter window of availability to feel worth it, and to me, I don't know if a couple of crushed holos and a shimmer are worth it. Not that I actually know what goes into pigment supply and all of that, but from a customer perspective, I would like limited edition polishes to feel a little more exciting than these ones do. So yeah, I think that's most of what I have to say about the 2025 Holo Royalty Collection. It's available now if you want to get anything. Holo Taco has historically had a pretty good stock of the royalty collections. They stay around for a bit even though they're limited edition, but of course I can't predict how long each shade will be available, so if you're more interested in these polishes than I am, it's better to get them sooner. And again, I'm not trying to say that Holo Taco did a terrible job with these or anything like that. They're nice polishes, and I know a lot of people are really enjoying the colors and the theme. The collection isn't really my vibe, but I don't mind when that happens because it means that I save money, and it was still cool to be part of the process of creating the collection. At the same time, I would like things to happen a little bit differently next year, just so the collection feels a bit more cohesive, and also a bit more balanced between popular and less popular colors. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you to everyone who's watching till the end, since this was another long one. Let me know in the comments what you think of the royalty collection, if you bought any of it, if you agree with any of what I said, or you think I'm totally off base. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would leave me a like, or maybe even subscribe. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed. There's more than 100 of you now, which is very exciting, and I'll see you next time. Bye!